Hello and welcome to Bitsbox World, builds made easy. I'll let you in on a little secret. I have a whole load of models in a box that are unpainted. A lot of them have been sprayed, either white or black, and I just find it ridiculous that I've had these models, some of them for 20 odd years, and I haven't painted them. But I'm determined to change that, and part of this is I want to paint my models to a standard that looks good from a distance and can be done quickly. So I've got a couple of different paint types here, contrast paints and dipping inks, and I've just started to really get into these. I've not been brave enough to paint any of my High Elf models with contrast or dipping inks, just because I've been painting them in the conventional way, but it takes me an age to paint any model, and this has got to change. So I'm going to have a go at painting this Griffon rider and how I go about painting it, but I do want to focus in on each of the different contrasts or dipping inks that I use, so giving that a bit of time in these videos to really demonstrate how they work. So starting off with browns, then I'm using this I think it's called Gore Grunta fur, and I've used this on beastmen and belts and furs and things like that, and I do really like the way that this works. And what I've found, whether it's right or wrong, I go quite thick with the contrast paint to start off with, and then I just work the paint into the recesses, into the edges, and it sort of pulls into those edges. Contrast paint has got quite good movement, and one thing also that I've sort of noticed is when it dries, it does look slightly different than when you're applying it and it's wet, so just be aware of that. But I'm loving how this is looking to start off with. It's really getting into the recesses of the definition there of the Griffon's wings, and really starting to pull out some of that colour. So this is in the speed paint range. Obviously I'm not doing a conventional build up from darks and then go for the highlighting in the conventional way and mixing colours. And I've got to this point in my painting journey that actually, because I've not painted many models, because it takes me so long, this is a good solution. This gets an army on the battlefield in its painted glory that looks decent from a distance, and just really helps to, I don't know, give me more enthusiasm when coming into painting models. I really like making scenery. That's one of my big things, and I put a lot of effort into that. And but my models, because it takes me so long and I just am limited on time, I wanted a quicker solution. So this Griffon rider is from the Isles of Blood box set. That was out quite some time ago, and I'm really looking forward to the High Elf models being re-released from Games Workshop or Warhammer. There's a few that I didn't get back in the day that I'm really excited to get. I'm hoping that there's going to be an Eagle Claw bolt thrower, sort of the Sky Cutter variant, so an eagle pulling a bolt thrower. What a great idea that is. And I haven't used Griffons that often in my war games of old, in my fantasy, because I always went for a dragon or just eagles. But having a look in the new Old World rulebook, yeah, looks quite decent actually, a quite decent option, and you can get one into a 500 point army as well. So if you haven't seen my suggested 500 point army that I have theorized, you can go and watch that video. I'll leave a link above, but this guy is going to be used in that, and hopefully I'll be getting that battle in soon. there we go. So the tops of the wings looking good there, and just painted the bottoms as well. So that's using the contrast paint, and I think, yeah, it does a job. It does bring out some of that recess and highlighting effect, so you can do your paints in one go. The other thing that I thought, I've got another Griffin which I'm going to do a bit of a slap chop effect on and see if that comes out any different. Obviously this one that I'm painting is straight onto white undercoat. And now I'm going to have a go with using the inks. This ink is from Green Stuff World, and obviously not Warhammer paints, but definitely a great alternative and a bit cheaper than Citadel paints as well. I've really started enjoying using these. They look great, actually. The thing with the ink as well, it's a bit more wet than the contrast paint, a bit more movable, and I find that I've got a bit more control actually with this than I do with the contrast paint. They do have a whole load of different colours. I'm not sponsored by Green Stuff World in any way, shape or form, but they've got a whole variety of colours that would fulfill my need anyway. And as I say, a bit cheaper, so a good option, certainly if you're looking for speed paints. But I really like this one. This colour here is Elfwood Brown, I think it's called, and I've used it for things like belts and also furs actually, but you can use it for the wooden shaft of weapons as well, spears and such like that. So, but I really like it, and I think it really gives a good contrast actually to the brown that I painted at the bottom of the wings. So yeah, really quite nice, and it works really well. As I say, I've got a bit more control with this, and feel like I can get some really good dark recesses and highlighting effect. So I'm liking the dipping inks. So I'm getting this ready for the old world. As I mentioned earlier, going to be doing a bit of a battle soon. Let me know in the comments below if you've had any battles for the old world. What do you think about it in comparison to old variants of Warhammer? I used to play 6th, 7th and 8th edition of Warhammer, and my particular favourite might be a bit controversial, but I really liked 7th. They introduced with High Elves that they always strike first. Bit of a beardy rule when you've got things like White Lions and Sword Masters hitting first every time. Was pretty awesome. But I really like 6th, 7th and 8th. They're the editions that I've played. So let me know in the comments below, how are you getting on with the old world, and how does it compare to fantasy of old? That is looking really great. I'm really liking that, and you can see how quickly I got through that. I've painted the bottom and the middle of the wing in no time at all, and if I was painting that in conventional ways, I would have done probably 3 or 4 different layering effects, which would have taken all that time for painting, then drying time, and then covering up any mistakes that I've made, and then repainting. So I'm looking at losing probably 2 evenings just to paint the wings. And certainly I'm not bashing conventional painting. It's, if you've got the time to do it, you can make things look so beautiful and awesome, but I don't have the time to do it. So this is a really good alternative, and I am really loving just the flexibility of it as well. So if I've got a couple of hours, I can paint a couple of models. So I'm thinking of following how I've started here, just with the colour matching there. So I'm going to go back to the contrast paint and paint the higher bits of the wing, and then I'll go back to the dipping ink as well. And I think the dipping ink will go into the head and the body, the feathers on the body as well. Could look quite good. So put a bit of dipping ink here, and you can see the contrast as well. And I'm going to leave just some white feathers in the middle. I just quite like the idea of having that white line, and then the body as well with the dipping ink. Yeah, that's looking really great for a start. Wow. And even though I've been editing this and putting it together, it took me probably about 45 minutes in total to paint all of the wings there and the body. And that looks really quite good, I think, from a distance. Bit of drying time, but I'm really quite liking it. So speed paints certainly are a good alternative if you're limited for time and you want to get something ready for the battlefield. So why don't you let me know what you thought about these and your experience with speed paints. I'm always open to any tips and tricks that people want to share, but I'm loving the fact that I'm finally, after many years, painting one of my griffins that I've had just sitting in a box. But there we go, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Thanks for watching Bits Box World, Builds Made Easy.